where we go, we must have to involve them. And as such, we must have to ask somebody to tell us something about, first to say something on this occasion. And one of those drivers of change is our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Mohammed Aliyu Ba. Let's give him.
Thank you very much, Dr. Momodu Kano, for your time and effort in ensuring that we are here for this symposium. My task is really to welcome you all to this very important symposium. You know, years back when I was a student, like some of you, when we stand before you, you know, we start to quote Frank Fanon, the Record of the Art. In that book, it says, to every generation, out of relative authority, has a mission to fulfill. You can either betray the cause or you defend it. You know, when we were students, we used to quote. But today, I am not a student. But my role is actually to welcome you, especially our Honorable Minister, who is here with his entourage, Minister Amara Kalom. Let us clap for him. We have the man in charge of all civil servants, Mr. Smiler. We have the head of the Public Service Commission. You know, these are important people because after here, you will be running after jobs. So this is an opportunity for those of you that are here. We have Mr. K.O.Ba is also here. We also have my senior colleague in the field of academia. He's the doyen of the doyens. He's the granite that will stand all forms of weathering. Dr. Emmanuel Gaiman. You know, we in the field of academia, we know the heavyweights. If you see me referring to him as that, he's a heavyweight. You are all welcome to Njala. Presently, as I speak, we have over 6,000 students on campus. We have like 7 schools: the School of Agriculture, School of Environmental Sciences, we have the School of Natural Resource Management, we have the School of Technology, we have the School of Veterinary Medicine, we also have the School of Basic Sciences. You know, we have aligned ourselves to address the needs of the country. You go all over, we have problem with science teachers. That is why we have now a school, the Basic Sciences, as a school of itself. If it was not a day of this stature, you will have seen all the deans here, but they are all busy with academic work. As I said, classes are on. So let me thank you, those of you who are here to witness this symposium. I believe after today, you will learn a lot. I am also here to learn. This is why I am here. So you are all welcome. God bless you all. Please remain silent when we have these exchanges. You have opportunities to ask. Yeah, this is an interactive forum. You should not hesitate to ask the questions you have been asking us or you have been asking your colleagues. The government is here. The power government is here. So ask them the questions you have been asking us. Please. So you are all welcome. Thank you all for being here. I know our hall is too small. This is why we cannot accommodate all these students. We cannot accommodate more than 500 because this capacity is just for that. But we hope with time to have something bigger where we can accommodate all of our students. So with that, you are all welcome, and thank you very much, Dr. Kano, like I said, and also the team, Mr. Conte and his team, that we are here to ensure that we are here today. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Okay, that's great, but I'm not so happy. Let us do it again. That's great. Thank you, Professor, for a very good presentation. And again, we have somebody again who is steering the wheel. Okay, he's here, and I have no hesitation to introduce him here because he has been doing it, and as such, he is capable of handling it again. So I have the honor to introduce to you the host, Rep. PSP, Mr. Albert Williams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Good morning, students. I have a very simple task to perform here, and that is to introduce to you our moderator for this event. He's a young, energetic man with passion for it, with dedication and commitment backed by his insatiable appetite for knowledge. He has traversed the corridors of leadership, serving the various capacities in international non-governmental organizations, leading the implementation of complex projects and programs. Before his promotion to his current position, he was a director for donor coordination at the Ministry of Health and Sanitary. With so much to offer within the wider public service, he was later posted to the units as head of programs to provide him with a bigger space to lead critical reform the public sector. With dedication and commitment, he vigorously performed his functions, which further projected him for a much appointment to serve as the director of the public sector reform unit, making him the youngest to have ever served in his current capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our director of the public sector reform unit, who is no less a person but Mr. Sulaiman Foy Musa.
Thank you, Albert. Good morning, all. Good morning, students of Njala University. All right, so let's start this program. The Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, members of academic associations, students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me start by expressing my sincere gratitude to the university administration and the entire student body for the profound sense of willingness demonstrated by your presence here today to witness this public symposium titled SierraLeone at 63, Revamping the Public Sector Architecture. This resonates with Goal 5 of our medium-term National Development Plan for 2024 to 2030, which underscores revamping the public sector architecture through delivery, efficiency, and professionalism. Ladies and gentlemen, this symposium therefore presents a unique opportunity to take stock of state of governance, which includes our public administration, structures, the possible gains we have made over the years, the shared challenges faced as a country, and lessons learned. And most importantly, this thought-provoking topic also presents an opportunity to map the way forward and reimagine a governance and public administration system that is resilient, capable of driving reforms that will accelerate the realization of SDGs, Agenda 2063 and Vision 2035, and Goal 5 of the medium-term National Development Plan. So ladies and gentlemen,
Here with us today are distinguished personalities who have occupied positions within our public and civil service, whose career in the public service and governance space span 3 decades. These are people I will comfortably refer to as the encyclopedia of the public sector and civil service in SierraLeone. Each of these people I'm about to introduce represent a critical space in the administration of governance that is shaping and reshaping our public service delivery process and procedures. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me, as I begin to introduce these distinguished personalities, our first panelist, ladies and gentlemen, he is a governance expert. His experience in governance spans 3 decades, I mean 30 years. He comes with a load of experience and runs deep into economic development, public policy, governance, and other areas. He has served at strategic levels within the government, United Nations, private consultancy, to name but a few. He is an embodiment of 2 critical variables that makes a man worthy enough to serve as presidential governance advisor. And these are theoretical knowledge and practice in the field. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as I bring to you Dr. Emmanuel Kaima, the presidential advisor on governance. He is a man that is well shaped, experienced. He is a man that has seen a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, celebrate him. Celebrate him. Celebrate him. Can we have it right, please? Njala University, Mokonde is blessed today to have the panelists that are well grounded in both public and civil service of SierraLeone. Ladies and gentlemen, our second panelist is a seasoned administrator who has sojourned the corridors of the civil service for 4 decades. He has successfully served over 6 governments. Therefore, it is safe to say that his experience in both public and civil service remains unmatched. He has served in several strategic levels across ministries, departments, and agencies. He has led several reforms in the civil service, most of which have translated into laws and institutions. The most current of these achievements is the establishment of the Wages and Compensation Commission. Before his ascent to his current position, he rose through the administrative and professional ranks of the ranks of Assistant Secretary, Senior Assistant Secretary, Deputy Secretary in various NDAs, and he served as Development Secretary in the then Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. His dedication and commitment to serve further catapulted him to the position of Secretary to Cabinet and head of the civil service. A position he currently occupies. With a round of applause, let's welcome Mr. John Suwana.
and to build upon. With dedication and commitment to service, he rose through the administrative ranks of Assistant Secretary, Senior Assistant Secretary, Deputy Secretary, Permanent Secretary, Deputy Financial Secretary, and he had the opportunity to superintend critical MPS, including the then Ministry of Social Welfare and the Ministry of Defense. He is the only SierraLeonean who has served as Director General of the Defense Ministry twice. With so much to offer, even after retirement, this man was found worthy to be appointed by the President as the Chairman of the Public Service Commission, charged with the mammoth responsibility of recruiting, promoting, transfer, and dismissal of civil servants. Ladies and gentlemen, with a thunderous applause, put your hands together for the Chairman of the Public Service Commission, Commissioner General Bam. He is the Chairman. Put your hands together for him. A right of experience. Clap for him. Celebrate him. All right. Let's be quiet. Our fourth panelist. Are you listening to me? Our fourth panelist, on whose shoulders the responsibility to revamp the public sector architecture rests, is a man very much vast in the field of research. He has led several research works in and outside of SierraLeone with a solid foundation in monitoring and evaluation. He has led development projects at strategic levels in SierraLeone and outside with other sectors in the economy. Listen to me, this man is a man with the biggest cabinet portfolio. A young man who is going to revamp the public sector of SierraLeone. Before his appointment to his current position, he served as the Deputy Minister of Public and Political Affairs. He has led several reforms within the public and political space, critical among which was the conduct of the Beauty Money 3 that led to the establishment of the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. Immediately after the June 2023 elections, this man was appointed by His Excellency, the President, in the new ministry that is charged with the responsibility of revamping the public sector architecture. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a young man that is vast, a young man with so much. I want you to rise as we welcome the Minister of Public Administration and Political Affairs, Honorable Njala. Put your hands together. He is our Minister.
very vast. That our panelists today are very thorough. That our panelists are well grounded. It's an opportunity that you have to learn about public administration, the commitment of government, and what the public sector of Sierra Leone is all about. So on this note, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to this grand symposium as we get started. Put your hands together for the opportunity that you have. So tonight, or this morning, we're going to start the ball rolling. So I'm going to start. Are you with me? Are you going with me? Good. All right. I think we are skipping one point. We were to show you a video. That video would have shown you exactly how the public service of Sierra Leone works. But we are going to skip that. Is it coming? We'll skip that. Maybe it will come later in the program. So to lay the basis this morning, I want to call and pose a question to a particular panelist who will be laying the ground for us this morning. So, let me welcome you panelists. We are here today with the students. They are here to learn from you. They are here to tap into your experience. So I am going to moderate and ask the questions to you. So I'm going to start this morning with Dr. Njala. After independence in the 60s, Sierra Leone had a very good public service. After the colonial period, there were structures and systems that were left behind by our colonial masters. And I believe these were foundations that the public service should build upon. So, Dr. Njala, with your experience, and being that you are a governance advisor to the president, and you are seated right at the citadel of power, we want to understand how the public service should look like. Dr. Njala, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bonito, Deputy Vice Chancellor, and the Chief of Campus, colleagues in academia, senior government, students. I want to join the DVC and the rest of the academic staff of Njala campus here to congratulate you for taking time off today here. There are several means of learning. You don't learn only by being in the classroom. You can learn also by listening, by imitating, and by accompanying processes like this. So as an academic myself, I'm very gratified that I'm in an ecosystem that I feel very lucky to be in, which is one place. To your question, Mr. Moderator, I want to walk quickly through history from ancient times to pre-colonial and to the modern era. He has asked the question, what should a public service look like? But the genesis of this, I have to go back for you to be able to understand. In the ancient of days, we had kings and queens and emperors. We had aristocrats. These were the people who governed communities, small communities. And in those days, these people that belong to the privileged few also had people who served them directly. They refer to them differently or variously as courtiers or advisors or assistants to the queens and the kings and the emperors of yesterday. They did exactly what the queen wanted. And what the queen wanted was never questioned, because we have what you call the absolute nature of the kings and the queens and the emperors. That was when population was not as expansive as we have today. Society was not as diverse as we have today. And so, for the moment, it was good. But as society progressed and population increased,
and society became more complex, there was a demand. And the demand was people wanted to be ruled by people they themselves would have voted into office. And so all this phenomenon of representative democracy, where we had people elected into office and they are given the right to administer other people, started. Once that happened, there was much more pressure and demands and requirement by society. Society demanded what was referred to as the public good. What is the public good? The public good are the things you and I desire in life. We want education. We want electricity. We want a good healthcare delivery system. We want a mechanism that will be placed to make sure that the economy functions. We want to also make sure that we have infrastructure to be able to support and increase productivity and create wealth. These are the public goods that citizens demanded. This cannot be provided by a small group of people. So there was need to recruit people with specialist backgrounds. That was the beginning and the genesis of the public service. I will attempt to talk. I'm a teacher. Yeah. My primary duty. So once society became that complex and there was a pressure and a demand for citizens who aspired for the state to provide the public good, kings and queens were no longer satisfied to have just a handful of people. So they brought in people with diverse experiences, backgrounds, and specializations to provide the public good for the citizens. And that was how the public sector, the public service started to function in those days. But then, it did not just happen. Because in between kings and queens demanding to rule states and citizens also demanding the public good, a couple of things took place. The governance system moved from authoritarianism, where you had absolute powers. It moved a little bit into a system where we had a communist states, a socialist state where the state provided everything. But we realized that, or those days it was realized that those systems could not adequately and effectively provide the public good. So we had the Industrial Revolution. When the Industrial Revolution came, you realize that it had its own dysfunctional values. It displaced those who could not use the techniques and technologies of the Industrial Revolution, but it also made work easier, faster, and productivity to increase. And therefore, there was wealth. Once people started making money and they were comfortable, they again started to demand more. When we don't have enough, for example, you start with a bicycle. As you make some more money, you probably want a motorbike. As you make some more money, you want probably to have a vehicle. As you make more money, you want now to look at vehicles of specific brands. So society became more sophisticated and complex. Now, the people who were recruited could not just be picked around. So the modern public administration emerged. How did it emerge? They created systems, institutions, rules, regulations, guidelines, and laws. States started to produce national constitutions. And the national constitution is the principal law of the land. But the national constitution cannot contain everything to run the states. So added to the constitution were laws. The laws also could not do everything, and then we have regulations and guidelines. So with the use of the laws and the regulations and the guidelines, people were recruited. Specifications in terms of the minimum requirements for people to serve in the public service were set. Specific institutions were defined to be the ones that should drive the public service. So all those who work in the states, they are generally classified as public servants. But then a critical mass of those were identified and referred to as civil servants. These are the ones who are responsible for the state moving. You listen to the introduction of Mr. Njala that he has served a couple of governments. It is simply because he belongs to the civil service, and it is the civil service that ensures that the state is in perpetual existence. You move from one administration to another administration. How do they do that? In the civil service, there is hierarchy, there is a structure. You have to move from the below to the top,
went through several ways, which they will speak to very shortly. You have to have an entrance examination, you have to be recruited, and when you're in there, you are given a job description. That job description is monitored, you are assessed by it. There are also systems and procedures. For example, in financial management, you cannot be the same man that will buy, that will give, and to supply. They will insist that you have segregation of functions so that the accountability is not lost in there. In addition to that, also there are other norms. You have to be ethical. By being ethical simply means that there are things that are just not allowed to be done. And those ethical issues, when you violate them, they could migrate the crime to a misconduct that probably could lead to great disciplinary actions, even including dismissal from the service. Now, having done all of that, what do you do to make sure that the public good you mentioned, the roads, the schools, the hospitals are there? In the public service also, there is a mechanism in place to make sure that the public servants are monitored and managed through what we call a performance management system to speak to. So when you are in there, you have to work. You don't just go in there and then you sleep on the table. You have working hours. Those working hours are managed. You have to have a work program. Those work programs should be delivered upon, and they manage that. But before I take my seat also, somebody wants to ask, what if these things don't happen? There is also a mechanism in public service to make sure it happens. There is reference to continuous monitoring, supervision, and evaluation of what is done to make sure that targeted assets are kept and to make sure that budgets is consistent with the funding available and to make sure that tasks are given to people based on their competencies. Added to that also, there are other accountability mechanisms like audits, like financial regulations and guidelines to make sure that people deliver. So to sum up, a public service should be one that should cater for the public good. It should be manned by people who work for the states, and out of them there should be a critical mass, there should be civil servants that should work according to rules, regulations, systems, and processes, and they must ensure that the work to which they are called and performed, and they must be monitored, and their performance is assessed as we move on. I'll stop at this point.
Are you ready? Thank you so much, Dr. Gaiman. If you are listening well, he has been able to lay the basis where we started, how it was, and the many gains we have made. So thank you again, Dr. Gaiman. But let me take you to Mr. John Sumaila, who is the head of the civil service itself. Mr. Sumaila, can you tell us the current state of the civil service of Sierra Leone and what do we have in place? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Honorable Minister, other colleagues on the table, and esteemed students. Let me join previous speakers in expressing our thanks and appreciation to the management of Njala University for the warm reception received since our arrival last evening. Now to the question. Let me give you the perspective of what constitutes the public service. The public service is that big arm of people who work to provide services for the people of the country, and in this case for Sierra Leone. The composition of the public service in Sierra Leone today constitutes as follows.